Hello everyone and welcome to Blog Runner Everything, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another video which is going to be kind of an update with what's going on in the world of FC Barcelona. Because when I last left it here, my last upload, I was talking about that Ousmane Dembele transfer to PSG, and I concluded that video by saying that I hoped it wouldn't become a drawn out transfer saga that could influence the rest of Barcelona's transfer window and delay our proceedings. And unfortunately, that seems to be exactly what has transpired, because since then we have not seen the announcement of Ousmane Dembele as a new PSG signing. Instead, what we've seen is that his transfer to PSG has been delayed by Barca, who are holding on to his paperwork. So we'll get into further details about that. We're also going to have a nice little recap on the Gamper trophy, the preseason tournament that Barcelona plays historically at their home ground right before the start of the season. It's the fixture that signifies the end of preseason effectively for FC Barcelona. So that match was played against Tottenham. Barca, of course, winning by 4-2. I'll give some of my thoughts on that game, but also just further on to talk about some of Barcelona's other transfer plans, including stuff to do with Neymar, which I honestly don't really want to talk about, but that's what's in the news, guys, so we have to talk about it. We're going to do just that. So if this is your first time tuning in here, please feel free to hit that like button and also to hit subscribe. I know that thing is probably like come somewhere down there, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button as well. Anywho, let's start with we'll start from where I ended last time. Like I said, Ousmane Dembele, and at the moment his transfer to PSG still hasn't gone through, and it's looking like it will not go through until at least the 21st of August. And that is simply because by then FC Barcelona have got no other choice but to send the documents to PSG, approving the deal and all of that kind of stuff. In case you're wondering what exactly is going on, you see, Dembele, who had traveled to France after Barcelona's USA tour concluded, was probably expecting that by the time he gets to Paris, Barca are going to send all his documentation and the likes to PSG, finalizing the deal, finalizing the sale, and then allowing him to sign a new contract and to be unveiled. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's because of just pettiness or because Barcelona really don't see a way in which Ousmane Dembele should go with all the money that he's supposed to get as part of his deal, owing to that clause of his. We won't even get into the details of all of that. If you want to know all of that, go ahead and watch that video, which, I did last week. Or is it over there? It's on one of these corners. Anywho, Barcelona have instead decided to not push this deal all the way through, because right now, all the paperwork is in their hands, and because it wasn't a release clause. If it was a release clause, then he would have already been gone by now, but it wasn't a release clause, so it relies on Barcelona still sending back confirmation to PSG that, yeah, this deal is done, you can get the player, blah, blah, and blah. Of course, it's believed that Barca are just doing this as to sort of, maybe punish Dembele or punish PSG, and that by the 21st they'll really have no other option, 21st of August that is, have no other option but to send that paperwork through. And there've also been some reports claiming that this is just Barca trying to delay PSG's preseason preparations, because the season kicks off on, I believe, the 12th, if I'm not mistaken, and Dembele not being available by then will mean that they're still going to be in a bit of limbo with their whole Mbappe situation as well. And there's also, for me, just the question of what exactly happens here if Ousmane Dembele gets injured whilst training with Barca, because yes, he is still training with Barcelona, even though he was not part of Barca's Joan Gamper team. He wasn't rolled out there for the fans to boo him and the likes. That didn't happen, but he's training with Barca, he's training with the first team still, and it's an awkward situation, but we'll see how it goes. Enough of all of that. I've honestly had enough of that. That's the last time I'll probably talk about this, other than to say it's finally concluded. We can go on now and talk about that match against Tottenham at Montjuic, which is going to be Barcelona's new home until the Spotify Camp Nou finishes being renovated. So this was a pretty interesting game. Like I said, Barcelona did win, winning 4-2 in the end. but for I would say a significant part of the match, Tottenham were ahead in this game, leading by 2-1 after taking the lead from a Barcelona team that had initially taken the lead in the 3rd minute. Fun fact, last season Barcelona opened the scoring in the Gamper in the 3rd minute as well, and the goal scorer on both occasions, that's right, Robert Lewandowski. Anywho, we did then see, of course, quite a fair bit of shuffling going around, and then ultimately we had some subs coming on, and it was the subs who went on to score the other goals for Barca. Ferran Fati and Abde getting those 3 goals that ultimately saw Barcelona ran out with a 4-2 win. So what takeaways do we have from this game? To be quite honest, apart from the fact that Barcelona's defense somehow it wasn't deep enough. We've got all those center backs we've signed, but right now it's looking like Inigo Martinez, Christensen, and Araujo are all going to be out come the start of the season. That's what it's looking like right now. We'll get confirmation, meaning that our starting center backs are probably going to be Eric Garcia and Koundé for the match away at Getafe. So we'll see if that's really what's going to be on the ground. Yeah, what's going to be on the ground. We'll see how that goes. But moving away from that, I would say that some of my other takeaways from this, in particular, I would say that Fermin Lopez and Lamine Yamal are looking like some pretty interesting prospects for Barca during this coming season. We know that Xavi is still pushing to get one more interior, but with the way that Fermin is playing, you really wonder, is it really necessary? And like we were saying as well, with Ousmane Dembele moving on, and with Rafinha obviously taking that starting slot on the right wing, there was an issue of who's going to be the backup. But looking at the minutes that Lamine Yamal has played, not just here against Tottenham but also against Milan, it's not looking like too bad of a prospect to have him as the backup right winger. Now obviously there's the issue of age. He is still too young, and this might be a bit too much responsibility to be putting on the shoulders of a youngster, especially should Rafinha pick up an injury, something like that, or get a suspension. More realistically, something we did see happen to him. We don't know exactly what it will be like for Yamal having to play 90 minutes back to back. So we don't really want to be in that situation, and perhaps that's why Barca are still chasing Bernardo. But we'll see exactly how that goes, because aside from some of my takeaways from that Gamper trophy match, the last thing I want to talk about is some of these ongoing transfers. What can we call them? Sagas, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have a better word. Bernardo Silva, Barca's pursuit of him and of Joao Cancelo and of Ivan Fresneda. And personally, I would just like to see Barcelona get at least a right back, because right now, like I said, with the center back injuries, our starting right back is back to Sergio Roberto, right? And that's not what you want, especially with the Champions League. So if Barcelona can get both Fresneda and Cancelo, in my opinion, that would be better business than trying to keep pushing for Bernardo Silva, who at the moment, it's looking like Manchester City are trying to renew him. They're trying to hold on to him. They don't want to let him go. And perhaps maybe the smarter thing here to do for Barca would be to just, go for Cancelo and for Fresneda and, wrap up this window and have your team nice and ready for the upcoming season. Now, the last thing which I didn't want to talk about, but which I might have to talk about, so I'll just mention it anyway. This is the rumors of Barca signing Neymar again. They won't go away because, Neymar apparently now regrets all his poor choices in life, and, he wants to come back to Barca. And, Laporta and everybody else on the board sees that as a good business move. Xavi, though, doesn't. And personally, I'm on Xavi's side. This isn't a good move. This isn't what Barcelona need. And anyway, I'll just, I will have a full-length video talking about this Neymar situation, kind of like I did with Ousmane Dembele. So you should probably stay tuned for that upload. Aside from that, this is basically all that I had time for, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barca.